area and you was in Lancaster area, and now I'm in Vegas. And I remember when you hit me up, you hit me up on the season of self-love. And the last thing I know about you is comedy, laughing,
Comedy.
joking and stuff like that. And so I'm like, well, I say, let's stop. You need to stop playing over here on my thing. And the reason why is because people look at me one certain way and they can't look at me in another way. And even though we are friends and you have seen me in another version, still
You're a person.
people, right, person, still me speaking about spirituality, me speaking of self-love in such a serious tone or healing and matter, people don't see. And I want to be honest when I say this. I only saw you one way as well, only
See,
comedy.
that's
I didn't
thank you.
see
Say more.
you a different way either. And so instead of me just sitting in and being like, hold on, go see what this brother talking about, because you're doing the same thing that people do to you, you doing to him. I know you're
Ooh.
not really needing a helping hand or something. Go out and see what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? And so when you did do that, I was like, okay, let me see what he's talking about. But then I asked, I said, hey, I said, you tapped me over here on here. I said, are you coming over here to promote, or is it something that you're going on? You said, well, I'm always, down to promote, but no, I've been through something and I want to share. And, and I'm trying to do some things, whatever, and I want to make sure that the listeners know, just through our conversation that we had on the phone, and even what you share with me, I think that is so courageous of you, not only as a Black man, but as someone that I know who has stood on the front lines for our country, to be able to say, I need help. You know what I'm saying? But not only that, but it's okay to say I need help. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to go through the works to be able to do that. But not only that, but using the tools that you learned in laughter to heal through that. That's what I love about it all. But it also it made me check myself. You understand what I'm saying? And you ain't even said a word. You just typed a few things and allow me to look at myself in the mirror, just looking at you as a reflection. Does that make sense?
That's beautiful. Nobody's ever flipped it on me like that. You know what I mean? Because
Will? Yeah. All right. We just played puzzle right there. Puzzle right there. All right. So, Sam, you heard yourself say that sitting here live tonight. What does it feel like just to hear that back?
if you don't know, that's a core memory of a conversation we had, girl. I've been referencing that specific part of the conversation with friends of mine in the comedy community since. Um, because like I was telling you, I was on the road with my homeboy Corey's a big fan, and he was like, tell her I said hi and things. I was
Mhm.
like, I told him about that intricacy of how we prejudge each other, and
Yeah.
that you did it to me. And the
Hmm.
first thing he said was how before I could tell the story. You know,
Hmm.
everybody got a past in something that they was doing. And
Hmm.
even if other people aren't proud of us, we proud of the things we did, you know?
Hmm.
So, but that prejudgment inside of people, you can just feel it. You can just
Right.
feel it. Rightfully so. You were like, what is this comedian contacting me about mental health for?
Right.
Because we're publicly not allowed to do that. If
Hmm.
you understand what I'm getting at there. When I
Right.
pop out the box, it's got to be jokes, 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 jokes. Make sure you comment on the Kevin Hart roast,
Right.
like
Right.
that's all we allowed to do. And you can't put people in a box like that. I think that that's one of the things that causes a lot of those mental health issues we talk about. We are so quick to stick one of our own in the setting they chose to show us.
Right. 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 So let me let me say this. Hold on for a second, Mike. Let me say this. First of all, I want to thank you too, and I want to thank you for just coming back and just being able to share this space with us again. In
Absolutely.
you
Thank you
know
for having me.
in this time, and I know that when we talked about doing this show, and um, I was like, how are we gonna fit this in? Because the first 3 weeks it was so serious, and how can we make this work? And even today, you being here, it's changed the dynamic of what the show was originally going to be like. And so you know what I'm saying? So now we can see what your real reaction is after even watching yourself back. Because when I was editing it to, be able to play here and editing for the Western, I was like, wow. I was like, this is truly a great interview. But not only that, but just what you've been through. And I mean, we're not going to have it all right here on
Of
the
course.
live show, but right after the show, they'll be able to, hear the whole, complete interview. But just again, I want to just commend you because sometimes it's hard. It's hard for people just to be vulnerable in such a broad place. But not only that, but you take this on the road with you every day and you stand in front of a live audience with that, not knowing what their response is going to be as you share your story, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dr.
Go ahead.
Will looked like he was about to say something.
I'm actually enjoying the conversation. I'm like, yeah, my brain was talking. I
Ah,
think
okay.
that,
That's what I
yeah,
was
yeah, my
seeing.
brain
That's
was
what I was seeing.
talking. Yeah, I just really appreciate the fact that you can talk about image, representation, and authenticity at the same time. And a lot of times as artists, we don't get to actually, we always have to choose one or the other. But also people envy us because we get to play along all three. And it's like, well, how much of this is you? And then also you have to ask yourself, when was it not me?
Yeah.
So it's one of those moments where I just appreciate the authenticity, fluidity that you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask the audience this. Has someone ever completely surprised you when you finally saw them, finally saw them past the box that you put them in? You know that box that everybody puts somebody in when they first have met them and they introduce, but then they can't see past that box. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So tell me when drop me in the chat and let me know what was that like for you to see somebody past the what's the name? Okay, tongue time. Yeah, I'm watching it. Hey, everybody, I'm watching it
And
now.
you know what's strange is like even we all went through the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and the best thing that came out of that terrible situation was I saw so much creativity pop out of people.
Mm-hmm.
You had no choice but to figure something different out. If I mean, take me for example. I ended up winning a comedy competition over Zoom in the middle of it. I was losing my mind because we couldn't people, you know.
Right.
And if you didn't do that, then you ended up in a depressed state, rightfully so, things of that nature. But we saw so many people have to come out of their boxes,
Mm-hmm.
have to come out of their boxes.
They boxes.
And we see people pop up with these little businesses and things, but we don't understand what we're looking at when we see it that way. We don't recognize it as, oh, they're multifaceted.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For Dr. Will, for you, um,
Mhm.
on a I guess on a more psychological, technical, point of view, when especially for someone like myself and Sam, I just got brain fog, Sam again, and trying to move past that box. Um, how can others get there? Does that make sense? I don't even know if I'm asking the right question, but how can it get to the point to where they will leave that box? Like they will step out of that box and just be who they
Mm.
are, comfortable with that, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's really two ways to do this, right? You have the short term and the long term. The short term is you end up realizing that what benefits you is what you become. A lot of us become what we benefit from. So
Hmm.
even with something like, they make like even the Kevin Hart roast, like Kat was talking about how like he's taking every job, he's taking every acting, he's taking everything he's doing. And he's like, well, some stuff you gotta say no to. Well, when you're in that industry, when you're in the industry of production and entertainment, when you get your yes, you have in the beginning, you have to be hungry for all the yeses, right? Because
Yes.
you're told no every single time until you get your one yes,
A
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous
right?
amount.
So you have to accept the fact that you become what you benefit from. And so some of the artists sometimes get pigeonholed or typecasted, or they expect a certain type of comedy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it's the development gets hard, especially for like some of my musicians and artists. They want to hear the same album 6 times in a row, and then when the artist transforms and changes, they're like, "What's this new sound you got? I don't like this."
Mm-hmm.
Well, then it goes into the long term role. Eventually, you learn that the healing becomes your art, right? And the art becomes your healing, and you realize that it's not really about me being one thing or the other. You realize that that's the focus. And I personally work with a lot of comedians actually, and I actually have a whole series about called hashtag and I have friends. And it's about me doing therapy with comedians only, because they
Mm-hmm.
have what they do is naturally called narrative therapy. We just don't say it, right? So it's beautiful to see them actually do the actual work, and they don't even realize like how intrinsically detailed they already are with that. So I think it's just like it's amazing how the healing is the art.
You might
Oh,
know
I
too
love
much.
that.
He know
Yeah.
too much, Naomi.
Well,
He
he
know a
does.
little bit too
Yeah.
much. I don't. I
Well,
gotta
This
watch it.
recorded. This recorded. He knows about to happen. This recorded. He knows my last video. My last video.
but you know what? I'm glad that you said that, because I want to go into this next clip, because this next clip get a little more deeper to where he starts to speak about something. Let me shut up and let me go
Mm.
ahead and let the tape roll, the clip roll. Go ahead, Mike.
We split. Hadn't talked for a while. I got out of the military and I started working a civilian job on base over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna try and put this a way people can understand it. You don't know when you start going through something.
Mm.
And I say that as a person here on a mental health show that didn't believe in mental health at the time.
Mm.
Okay. I was bred in the military. I was raised a black man with the, ain't nobody gonna give you nothing. You better get up and figure it out. Ain't nobody got time for you crying. Ain't nobody got time for that. Like, get up, push.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of men
Mm-hmm.
are put into that, where it's just like, don't nobody care how you feel. You got to get it done. I'm heading to work one day, and it's like 5 a.m. That was when I had to get up. And I remember getting up in a panic because I was already late, and I jumped in my car and I was driving my 30 minutes to work. I was low on fuel, low on gas. I ain't got time to stop. And I got halfway to work, and then I blinked and I hadn't moved anywhere. I was still in my house.
Mm.
All of that happened in my head, but I saw it all. I was still in my car with my hands on the steering wheel, and I was sweating like crazy. I had a dissociative panic attack and didn't know it.
Mm.
And so I went to work because now I'm panicked and I'm military. And like I just said, we just keep pushing,
Right.
we just go. So I go in, I do my job, and I just felt weird. That's the only way I could describe it. So I go to my boss, who was on the phone and didn't give a damn. And I was like, I need to go to a doctor. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I need to go. And he just kind of waved it off like, all right, do what you got to do, put your paperwork in. And I went in and he told me that I wasn't well. And he told me to get therapy and like got me in a program and things. I never went back to that job.
Mm.
I spent through about 1.5 years fighting them on my mental health, telling them that it stemmed from work. And that's what my doctor said. And that's what my therapist said.
Right.
And they basically told me that either I was lying or it didn't have nothing to do with them. So I ended up getting put out with no benefits, no retirement. Because they basically didn't have a system in place to help people with mental health issues. The military's built that way. And I fought it for as long as I could, but it took a toll on me. They started me on medication that made me sweat all the time. And I was still doing comedy,
Right.
I had an opportunity to do a big show down in LA with Seinfeld and Ryan Davis. I think Matt Rife was on that show. So these are people that, like you don't want to look crazy. But I'm down there, and this is before I got a towel. Like my towel got my name on it now. You know what I'm saying? I just had a regular towel from the house. because I would sweat from the medication. I went down there and I had a great show. But when I finished, everybody was like, it wasn't, who was that black dude with the Kangol on his head? Who was that? Everybody remembered the towel. And since I needed one anyway, I put my logo on it. And whenever I'm on stage and somebody asks, I let them know, oh, it's about mental health awareness. I want y'all to know to take care of your brain. I didn't for too long, and it cost me a lot, but I learned a lot about myself.
I got the videos that you had sent me a few days ago. And this one particular video that you had sent me, that you actually met your therapist.
Ooh,
You met your
yeah.
therapist for the first time while you were on stage. You know,
Yes.
can you bring that up for me?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to do Visalia specifically. Y'all are seeing something that this is the first show I've been nervous at in a very fucking long time. Very long time. Because my therapist is here. And I'd never met her in person before tonight, okay? So I want to say on stage, this woman saved my life and I love you. I love you so much.
Oh, man.
You know, first of all, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. But when I saw that, I ain't even gonna lie, I cried. I cried so much when I saw that, because I was like, God damn, like,
girl, I'm butterflying right now. I feel it all over again. So in the past, comedy for me has been very, you get in where you can get in. I'm being very intentional with my time this year. Yeah, because I got mental health stuff in there now. Like, I make sure that like they hear about the things that I've gone through mentally. I got in a bad car accident in November. And that is what made me go, oh, okay, I need to tell my real story and not just sling jokes. It changed my whole set.
So let's go a little bit back onto the mental health. And I know we talked about it a little bit, and I don't want you to fill in all of the blanks, but I want to ask, when you look back at the season when everything actually felt really hard for you, and I guess you kind of answered it, what was really happening to you. I guess I want you to kind of walk me through when you chose to share your mental breakdown on stage. When was your point in time and say, okay, it's time for me to share this on stage through my comedy? When did that click for you to do?
In the last couple of years, and it hurt. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, it hurt. Do you know how easy it is to hide behind your character? Oof. See, you felt that, didn't you? I saw your neck move. Ooh, you make black woman neck move, you done hit something, y'all. Yeah, I'm telling you, it was so hard. It's so easy to get up there and hide behind comedian Sam Ridley. How y'all doing? But to come from under that and go, listen, y'all, this is what happened to me, and hope that it's received. It would have been very easy for me to get out of the military and choose not to redefine myself. I didn't know who I was when I got out of the military. I went in at 18, and then you become that. I started doing comedy while I was in, and that was probably therapy for me and didn't realize it. Just an outlet, not therapy, but an outlet,
So what does Black men mental health mean to you? And I know, one, because you're a Black man, of course, but why do you think that it still does not get the space that it deserves?
I took a breath because you just took me to a place. So about, I want to say 3 years now, I had a military brother named Isaac. Me and him, he's the first person I told when I was going to have my son. He's 18 now. We've been friends that long. He was having a lot of problems getting out of the military, how it affected his brain. I'm tripping over my words right now.
It's all right.
Isaac, he committed suicide, and I was one of the last people he talked to. A lot of us were talking to him. And that also was one of the hardest nights of my life at home. for a whole different reason. So it was like a perfect storm of it. That night is a show I'll never forget, and it was transformative in me because I understood the gravity of how far away from mental health Black men have run.
Mm.
From upbringing, from generational trauma. I know coming up, if there was somebody special in my house, you could tell me if this was the case in your Black family, they got put in the back room. They ain't gonna see nobody. The
Right.
special needs person got put in the back room. Family would come over, they take them a plate. That was pretty much the end of it, you know. Hell, therapy is almost unheard. If I tell my mama, when I told my mama I'm in therapy, she was like, "So you just talking to somebody?" There's a it's a stigma in the Black community about it, and nothing drove that point home for me more than my brother passing, in that I felt an obligation to say something every time I could.
Mm. Yeah. Wow. That just takes you back. It takes you back. You know, after 20 years in the military and after 15 years of comedy, you said in an interview, sitting here live tonight, what do you want people to understand about those years and how they actually felt?
Well, one, shout out to everybody in the chat. I see y'all. I'm chiming in here and there. That was hard for me to hear myself say again. I want y'all to understand that. Like, that's not a story I tell often anymore. Between the time we recorded that and now, a lot transpired in my career on the road that I wanted to fix. And I was like, I'll be right back here, you know? Thank you for giving me a space as a comedian to be able to talk seriously about something.
Yeah.
I want to say that. That's what that gave me when I just heard it back. There's this cartoon called Black Dynamite, and they did this episode where Richard Pryor was like trying to tell people like some real stuff that was going on, but everybody was like, "You so crazy," and that's what they were getting at. To the point of the clip you just showed, where I saw my therapist. God, that was an amazing night. And me starting to be more vulnerable with my audience. Nothing in 15 years of doing comedy has given me more for in here for Sam than being vulnerable with my audience the way I wasn't before. Kevin Hart got a special called Laugh at My Pain. Y'all don't understand how perfect a comedy title that is for every comedian, because every comedian, whether you realize you like them for this reason or not, at some point they made you feel something about them, not just because they told you a funny joke. You can get that from a barbershop or from a reel on the internet. And as soon as I started letting people into the things I was going through and showing them how I found the funny in it, it became comedy's. This is the art form. This is why I'm doing it. I don't care about shows and money as much as I care about that. We can't take none of that with us.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Dr. Will, so, you know, Sam had just described in the video about carrying unprocessed trauma for years without language for it. How common is this, and what does it cost for people over time?
Yeah. So I want to break it down first that as just a language, right? Healing is a lifestyle, first and foremost. Healing is a lifestyle. But before we make something a lifestyle, we have to understand where it comes from. And a lot of us don't even have a language to talk about the healing we need.
Yeah.
Right. Even as a psychologist and a licensed therapist, I was taught and conditioned to look at people from their illness, not their wellness. So I had to recondition even how I look at healing for people. And when I would speak to them, I would call it headspace and heart space language. So headspace language would be like, how many times do you have anxiety attacks? Heart space language would say, how many moments have you shared where you felt like you were unable to handle your identity right now? What did that look like for you? Right. So we're teaching the language of ownership of our moments. And in trauma, we become so isolated and so alone and lonely. We don't know if we're lonely, alone, or isolated. And so people don't talk about it because there's no language on how to ask for help. And let's be honest, most people suck at asking for help.
Yeah.
So, um, so we have to also understand that before we can get to the space of help and healing, we have to realize how helpless we are first when it comes to not understanding. And so, as I always say, with self awareness comes emotional responsibility. And a lot of us um, don't become self aware until that thing shocks us or that moment finally clicks. And then what do we do first? We cut everybody off, right?
Mm,
You become aware, you're like, I'm cutting you off, I'm cutting this off, I'm cutting this off. And it's like, wait, before you cut everybody off, it might be better if you put your energy towards growing yourself so people just fall off,
mhm,
right? You're putting so much energy into cutting people off that you're not putting any energy into what you're growing into. And so that's illness language and wellness language. So even just language can completely change your perception of your world and how you receive it and give from it.
mm. Beautiful said. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've been doing both, cutting and letting them fall off as well. No.
Our hands get tired when we cut people off too much. Don't your hands get tired cutting people off? Like, no, because it feels good, right?
Something I learned to your point. In the clip that you showed, I said I was not a mental health advocate before. When I was in the military, there's literally no room for it. You know what I'm like?
Oh
They
yeah.
don't care. Ain't no
Mm-mm.
time for how you feel. It's just the nature of the beast, as they say. In hindsight,
Mhm.
should have made time for it. Probably would have been better. But um, I wasn't a mental health advocate, and as I've moved into it, what you just said about we don't have a language to even discuss it amongst each other.
Yeah.
Men are so bad at expressing emotions to each other, you know? And as I moved into my mental health journey, as I got into therapy, as I understood me more, it was harder for me to communicate with any men I knew that weren't doing the same.
Mm,
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
it became a battle of let me make sure that I don't close the door and let them know I understand you can't hear me right now in certain aspects, but I'm here to listen.
mhm,
Yeah, I love that you said that because even for me, like I'll go on to my gaming, like I'll go on my PS5 and I'll go into the group chat with the fellas and I don't even talk. After a long day, I don't talk. I literally just I go in the group chat, I just sit and I play video games and I'm playing with them sometimes. And when they see when they hear me in there, they start asking questions about mental health. And so then I start talking about it, and I'm like, oh well, you're just dealing with this, or you're just and they were just having conversations. But what it is that they men usually need permission
mm,
to feel,
Mm,
and it's sad that that has to be the truth. But like a lot of times in the beginning, men have to have permission. When I have couples that come in, usually the woman brings the guy in, and she's like, well, we need to work on this. But then once the dude feels like, like I have space. I have space to actually show up in this. He starts taking over, and I gotta slow him down and be like, okay, like let's pause real quick. Maybe you should get your own therapist while we're doing the couples work, because then he's like, well, I gotta talk about this when I was 12. This is why, and it's like, whoa, slow down. So I think it's really just giving men the space, and I think Sam, what you're doing is beautiful because you are the representation of what is needed to be a mental health advocate. There are mental health allies, but then there's advocates, and I love that you are signaling yourself for the awareness. That's not common and that's not something that people get to do. So I really appreciate the color in which you do that because we talk about mental health advocacy, but we don't talk about the representation that's needed for it to be an actual advocate. So I
yeah,
appreciate the way you show up in that.
yeah.
thank you. And I would love to have a side conversation about the psychology of black gamers over 40 and
It's real.
what he just said about how some people don't want to talk and things of that nature. You have no idea how common it is. And then there's a different dichotomy if you're playing with black people or white people, and you never know what somebody's going through on the other side of that controller. It is
Mhm.
insane to try to navigate.
Mm,
Yes, and I love the fact that it's a tool, right? Like for me, some of my clients will play video games, like we'll play Smash Brothers or Mario Kart in our session because they need to put something into their hands so that they can release, right? It's a stimulation avoidant, right? It allows them to balance, right, the control and the mechanism so that they can speak more clearly. And it's like they're doing that to open themselves up to another possibility of emotions. But we're also just playing Call of Duty right now, right? So it's
Right.
nice to have that balance. We need that.
Hmm. And it's hard to find the balance. And I want to hear from Nyomi on this. One of the things that I always tell people as a byproduct of therapy is I feel everything now. I feel
Yeah,
everything now.
weird, right?
That's the positive side. You know what the downside is? I feel everything now.
Mhm.
Mm. So
Yeah.
now it's a
Every
question about your capacity, not your capability. So a
Ooh.
lot of times it's not about your capability, it's about your capacity. So
Mhm.
now you have to know what is mine, where do I start and where do I stop with people? Because now you actually have an expansive capability because you actually understand. Now you have to limit like I always tell people, just like in relationships, hey, I can be my friend from A to D, but I can't be friends with you from A to M. Like I know where my friends start and stop. And I realize that if I don't do that, then I can just keep going.
Yeah.
I just keep going. Yeah, that's so real.
Yeah. It's funny that we even talking about this part of the conversation. I was talking to Dog Pound Mike earlier today. It's this clip that came up, and this guy was talking about what's that comedian name that I said again? The black comedian, old comedian. What he was saying, that once you put on the glasses of awareness, once you put on the glasses of awareness and you see and you know, you like of the knowing, those conversations that you have with other people are different. Not only that, but that once you have that, you cannot unsee or unknow what you know. And it's hard to, because when you get it and you
Mhm.
know it and now you want to share it with everybody, but you can't force it on anybody to know. And so when you have those conversations and you talking, that communication is no more. It is no more. So to answer your question about that feeling, oh yes, that
Mhm.
feeling is like at times a double-edged sword. But I'm gonna tell you this, I love that feeling, and I love being in this awareness. I love being this spiritual person that I am. Um, I'm just trying to come with my capacity. It's just
Yes.
getting that, together, all of that. But yeah, being there is the most amazing thing to do and to be. It is, because not only is it a part of your healing, but also it makes you aware to be that vessel. You understand? To be
Mhm.
that ripple for others. And that's what you're doing on that stage. You're using your pain for purpose. You're using your pain for purpose. Dog Pound Mike, I got a question for you. As a black man, and you hearing Sam say this live tonight, you heard it when we was talking. What is it landing for you right now?
Okay, well, landing for me, I tell you, I'm gonna have to change the pace a little bit. I'm
Okay.
still gonna answer this question.
Mm-hmm.
First, Sam, how old are you, if you don't mind?
I'm 44.
Dr. Will? Oh,
36.
okay, I'm a little older. And I saw this question when it came up as a black man. First, Dr. Will, the point you was talking about as you gaming and men started talk. I grew up in an age where we was outside. We was playing pickup games on the court, and that was the men's space at the time.
Mm.
And it wasn't much conversation going on about mental health because I grew up in the time, and I know you guys too, where we didn't talk about mental health, we didn't talk about capacity, we talked about just being. We talked about holding everything inside and getting through life because we had to work. We had to take care of our family. We had to support. We had to support ourselves. We was out there, and it was very hard. That's why I'm glad this conversation is going on because it is for a lot of younger generation because people are talking about mental health. Back in the day, we never talked about mental health. You either
Mm.
crazy or you was going through life, and it was hard. Now to get up older in age and feel like, yeah, there is a lot of things I'm holding and suppressing. We still can't let them out because we have no way to let them out because we don't know. We didn't come up with it. We wasn't born with it. We didn't live through it. We didn't get it from our fathers. We didn't get it from our
Mhm.
grandfathers. It was you take care of you work to take care of your family.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a very, very scary thing for older black men and younger black men need to listen and learn this same situation because it goes through everybody. But Sam, I heard the video, the clip, because I was there and heard it first, and everything you went through, and it's still we have to put we do. Men don't have to, but we do. We put this wall up inside of us, saying we have to deal. We have to deal with it. We keep it in our head. We keep it in our hearts, and we just try to get through the day-to-day process of it. But we need to talk more. And then going back to, we need more outlets to talk. We need more ways to talk. We need more advocates. We need more situations so men can get out here and actually talk about it. That's why you said gaming. Like I grew up playing basketball in the street, in school, and just we need more situation where after that pickup game is over, we can sit down and have this conversation.
Yeah.
It ain't just gonna open up. And we all know a lot of black men ain't gonna go to no therapy. Like you said, Sam, what your mama tell you? Oh, you just talking to people now.
You just talking. Yeah.
You just talking. You know. So that's the next step is trying to get places and get spaces where men and women too can feel like they can sit down and open up and not be judged. And that's the key. Because you know something? Deep down, especially for men, we're afraid to be judged because it makes us.
Well, that's the masculinity curse, right?
I was gonna say
hard to keep, easy to lose. Hard to keep, easy to lose. And the moment I wear a pink towel, oh, you're not a man. It's like, what? It was a pink towel. What was I doing? No.
I grew up a skinny kid. I was a skinny. I'm the same amount of pounds I was in like 9th grade. You know, so when you grow up that way, and you know, like to your point, we're not supposed to show weakness. I feel like I'm already showing weakness just being myself, and then going to school with that. Jokes became a defense mechanism because I didn't have the muscles. But at the end of the day, it was a man weakness thing. And it builds a mentality in you as you grow up, you know. Somebody that's never had to grow up that way, that grew up muscular, never had to feel that. So he's got a whole different outlook when he walks out of his door.
Right.
You know, it shapes you over time.
Yeah. Right.
And now, not just in person, you got to deal with. Now you got to deal with it on social media as well.
That's just making it worse.
Everybody putting up a beautiful distraction.
Beautiful distraction. I tell my audience, like, they be like, how come you don't post all them little funny reels and stuff? It's like, I don't like bothering y'all. How about that? When I post something, I want y'all to know I had something to say, you know, be it funny or otherwise. But like just posting for the sake of posting, it feels like emptiness. And I'm not going to do that to y'all. So,
emotional carbs. I call it like emotional carbs. Yeah.
Emotional carbs.
Yeah.
Empty calories.
Emotional carbs. You know, I want to say this to, you know, every man that is watching tonight right now, every black man, every man who was taught that what Sam had just described about not there's something not allowed that you're not allowed to talk about. What Dog Pound Mike was talking about as well. You don't want to have to carry that along, and you never should. Audience, I have a question for you. Has anyone here has gone through a season like Sam described, like suffering without knowing why or without even having the language for? And if so, if you can drop me a heart, if this is landing with you. And I know I saw quite a few questions that's going on, you know, there in the notes, Dog Pound. And if you want to, you can go scroll up and show some of those and read them out loud for me.
Okay, we're gonna right here. Why is mental health still heavily stigmatized in many African and Black communities across the world, especially when so many people are dealing with deep-rooted trauma, generational pain, and social struggles? And I think that was an international
from Africa.
Yes, from Africa. But and that's the thing is it's around the world. You know, we live here in the States, but it goes everywhere.
Right.
Okay.
Dr. Will?
You know, this is a three-layered piece, so I'll be brief. Um, so we first have to understand that the medical institution alone hasn't had the best reputation in Black communities.
Mm,
I'll leave it at that.
mm,
The second thing is we have to understand that our cultural and generational burdens was not just trauma, it was a way of survival. I
right.
want to take the shame and the guilt on how we may act out as a people as not as a symptomatic or illness, but it was a response and a rebellion to what the oppression did to us systematically.
Mm,
I tell people all the time, racism isn't just a black and white thing. Racism as an American is an embodiment of our culture. We embody racism. So there is these illnesses that are attached to that come out in the form of supremacy that generationally, intergenerationally kind of hold us over. And then the last thing I'll say is that, you know, as a hope to all this is that we as a culture are learning that we have made our own medicine through our survival,
mm-hmm.
through the jazz, the dancing, the movement. They talk about EMDR therapy all the time, but we were doing that. We were dancing and doing dances and movement before bilateral stimulation. That's dance movement therapy. We've
Mm,
been doing it. We've been doing our healing with our work and our art for years, right? And so I think we also have to remember to honor the medicine that we've already created and the ability to have merit and clout can have a healthy existence. And sometimes we chase the clout over the merit, which kind of takes away or enforces the stigmatization
yeah,
of mental illness in our community.
yeah. Thank you for that, Dr. Will. All right, because we want to keep it moving. So I'm going to warn y'all on it. This next clip, I'm not even going to prepare y'all for it. I just need y'all to watch it. So, Dr. Mike, if you go ahead and put in clip 3 for us. You
It's
guys
like I have like a pace that I try to maintain, and when I first started writing bits about
take that one
the
out.
experiences that I was having in mental health, I'll be honest, they kind of wrote themselves because I was like, if I'm gonna be authentic, there's nothing for me to add to it. Did I have to find the funny in it? Absolutely. I can give you an example of one that I haven't really done. I told you I got in that car accident, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got in a car accident. What happened? I was coming back from a gig in Vegas, and it was in November when we had all that rain,
Okay.
that real bad rain, and the highway flooded out in front of me in the dark. So I just hit a wall of water at 60 miles an hour, and the car stopped, it cut off, and all of that good stuff. I did not think I was gonna make it out of there just because of where I was. The cops got me out of that deluge, and I was safe. Thank God. I still owed him a show. Fast forward from that moment, because again, back to like me and Mike was talking about black men. Oh, I'm fine. I got out of that. It's all good. We just assume, well, it happened. What am I gonna do about it? I'm gonna cry about it. My brain started doing that. We went to Universal Studios in Hollywood, and we were about to get on the Jurassic Park ride. That's a water ride, y'all. Wasn't thinking about it at the time though, so I was just, I'm with my kids, let's have a good time. As soon as that bar locked down on my lap and I heard that water around me, I was right back in that car in the accident.
Mm.
And I remember this all I remember clutching my son's arm and bursting into tears. I don't remember seeing a frame of the ride. I was in tears. As soon as the ride thing let me off, I jumped out of the car and I was crying in the corner of the little gift shop when you get off the ride. And my family came around me. Let me pause right there in that story. Matter of fact, Mike, you're a black man. All I could think was I'm embarrassed.
Right.
I'm in public, right? I'm at Universal Studios crying in front of all these people. I'm snotting at the nose. What a weird thought to have while you're having a human moment. Why am I worried about them? Like I should have been all the way worried about me, and I couldn't do it. My family jumped around me, and I heard them tell like one of the workers, "We got him. He's okay." you know, and they was just like, you can chill, like we got you, you know. And I went and sat down for a bit, and we ended up going to enjoy the rest of our day. Okay. And I will always thank them for that moment. So let's fast forward to that night when we get back home. And my wife was like, do you want to talk about what happened in the park?
Right.
And I said to her, well, no, I'm fine. You hear me lying to me? I'm lying to me. And but what I said to her was, and this is again Black defense mechanism. I was like, well, what is there to say? Because in my mind, it just happened, you know. And this is when I found out we really got to communicate better. Because what she said to me was, well, I'm trying to figure out what made you cry on the ride.
Mm-hmm.
She had no idea I was crying up there about the car accident all day, because me and her had gotten into an argument about our intimacy like the night before. So she thought I was crying about that.
Wow.
And I was like, no, baby, I was crying about the car accident, not about. And she was like, oh, okay, I didn't understand. I just, you know, and I was like, I ain't understand either. I ain't realized you thought your pussy was that good. You thought I was crying on the ride about draws. I'm with my children right now, man. Like, you think that I got on the water ride and when we got to the top drop, I was like, oh, I should be getting some pussy right now, and just snapped. Like, that's what you think happened. Is that where we at? You know?
I guess you thought it was that wet, huh?
Bruh. I was like,
It probably was. It probably was. Why
like,
you
thinking
playing
about the
it
wrong
probably?
water. Man, that taught me so. Like, and like I said, like, I didn't have to write that joke. That's just what happened.
That's life. That's real.
That's just life. I was like, you really thought I was crying about the poo boom? Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, and like I said, clarity, man, clarity. If we never had that conversation, even her asking we should talk about it, it would have just been out in the open, and she would have just thought I was crying over the coochie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story.
Oh man. That's a clip there. That's a clip. Okay.
Yeah, that's a clip there. That definitely is saying, wow.
I got to respond to that. I got to respond to that. First off, my wife, I love her to death. We got problems like every other couple. I love that woman. I don't know if y'all caught the part where I was professing to her that I was fine. Black man, I'm fine y'all to death. Ladies, you should be terrified if your man say I'm fine and go do something else. Something is happening up there. I promise you. And what happens, I look, Dr. Will about to go ahead and doctor break it down. Let me give you the uneducated version real quick. So y'all don't understand, like, a man in a relationship, and I won't speak for all of them. If y'all disagree, please let me know. Our first mode is to keep you safe and happy in a relationship. Us telling you how we feel might make you upset. And in that, we stop talking. I don't want to upset you with what's going on in my head. So I'm fine, because me not being fine would make you not fine. I do that to myself a tremendous amount. I don't know why. I have no idea why, but I'm quick to tell somebody I'm fine. Quick. I don't know why we do that as men. I think it's that's that natural defense mechanism. But yeah, that's just what happened in that scenario. And the lesson out of that is communication. The lesson is definitely, you know, you can be standing in the same space with somebody and have a completely different perspective of what's going on. If I tell that outside of it sounding funny, I guess people would go, wow, how could she miss that? That's not the takeaway. Anybody could have missed that, considering other factors happening in people's lives.
Yeah.
If that was the singular issue happening between us, sure, I'd be like, how could you not see that? But there's always, back to what we said at the beginning, what people going through that you don't know.
Right. I just love that you just made a great punchline out of the whole thing. That was just, from coming from the seriousness into that. That's comedy gold right there.
On a water ride.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's truly comedy gold. Like I said, when I was editing it yesterday, I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, oh my God, this is just so funny. And it was just so funny just to be like, am I supposed to be laughing at this? It's like, am I supposed to be laughing at this? But yes, because this it was funny. It was funny. And I'm glad that you were able to use your life in that manner and see it not as a joke, but that you are definitely laughing through it. That you can
Yes.
see the humor, you can see that out of what those situations were or are in life, and
Mhm.
that's something good to have. Yeah, that's something really good to have. Dr. Will, do you want to break down what we're doing with him?
No, I was just gonna add. I was just gonna quickly add that when in therapy, when someone says I'm fine, my brain goes either you're effed up, insecure, needy, or emotional. FINE. Effed up, insecure, needy, or emotional. I was like, which one is it? I was like, you're going through one of them. It's usually one of the four. So someone says I'm fine. I'm like, what does that look like for you to be fine? And then they go and then like I figure out which one of the four it is.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
for you on that, Doctor Will.
Yeah,
And
Bill Burr has a go ahead, man.
no, no, because they're going back to because Sam. When you see a lot of men say I'm fine, do you ever have this feeling that you tell them you're fine, and then you move past it and you are fine? Because sometime in a man's life, and well, that right there, what happened is so many worse things that can happen, and I'd have got through it and I'd have moved through it. So,
Yep.
in a
The
sense,
tolerance is high.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Are they actually fine and can move past that moment and keep living and keep doing their day to day?
Mm.
No.
Yeah. That's called. I mean, to me, that's called being numb.
No.
Mm,
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of men will choose numbness to ensure that the mission is done.
Yes.
mm,
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. I can't fold because too many people depend on me. We put a lot on our shoulders throughout the day, not to say that women don't, it's
Mhm.
just a internal thing that we aren't allowed to express too much or it turns into something else. Something that we do in the black community, in the comedy vein, and I feel like this is just a black thing. If I fry you, I love you.
Mm.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah.
you see your friend, you be like, oh, that go old big old head ass. Like you start. That's what we do. We do the dozens, and
Mhm.
if there's somebody that you don't mess with like that, you don't joke them almost.
Mm.
But in that type of love that we've turned into the dozens and things, we've also given each other a whole lot of insecurities at the same time
Mhm.
because it ain't but so many times you get called big head Sam before you like, well, damn, maybe I got a big head, you know, like
Yeah.
you seen Michael. He told Michael, big nose, go on, get out of here. One time, Joseph hit him with that big nose. One time, changed his whole life.
Mhm.
You know,
Also, real quick, something that Dog Pound Mike said about how older black men need to start really like coming back to the healing space, and men need to come back to the healing space. One way that I do help, and I think everybody in the chats can also get your purpose paper and purpose pen. I just want to just add that you ask what age you are, right? So Sam, how old are you?
44.
44, right? And then I would ask, how old are you emotionally?
Ooh, like 28.
28, right?
I've asked
And
myself that question a lot, actually. Yeah.
yeah, and I would say that that's where our therapy session starts, right? And then when they start going through the 28-year-old, you'll find something that happened at 10 or 13. And we have to understand that, our life has been compounded. And like you said, if we keep numbing and suppressing and that tolerance didn't come out of nowhere, that you didn't make that tolerance today. That
mm.
tolerance came from years of training and conditioning that
Mm-hmm.
we just never got to release. So I always talk about like, like you said, you don't know what someone's going through, which is why you gotta be nice to everybody. You don't know how old who you're talking to. You might be
Yeah.
talking to a man that's actually 5.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's real.
Right.
Yeah. I got a question for you. I want to go back to the park, to the amusement park. And you mentioned about the one thing that you thought about while you were crying, where you thought about the
Oh yeah.
embarrassment of it all. Where for that,
Mm.
I guess I want to ask why? Why would that even be a concern of embarrassment for that? Does that make sense?
Oh,
Where
absolutely.
know,
It's ridiculous.
yeah, to go, I'm crying and I know why I'm crying. I'm having a flashback on what happened. I'm being triggered. But for you and probably a whole lot of other people, the first thing that come up is embarrassment. Oh my God, is anybody watching me? Instead of taking care of self, but you want to make sure that no one's around you see what's going on with you.
Um,
Mhm.
Not being allowed to be vulnerable
Mm,
is a part of military culture.
mm,
And then adding that to my own personal issues, it creates a storm where
mhm,
all that's happening in my head is I can't get all these people, like, it's hundreds of people in an amusement park. I don't have, I don't know how to get all of them to understand what's happening to me right now. And then that frustration goes in your head as a missed logic point. I can't convey this to them. I just got to keep doing it. I remember seeing one person's face when I got off that ride. Barely. I cracked the eye open on my way off the ride and I saw one worker. And I already knew what was happening in the worker's head. Damn, them dinosaurs must have scared the hell out this dude. Like something. I'm sure they see people get off rides crying all the time.
Right.
You know? Um,
Mhm.
but in my mind, I almost wanted to like go, no, 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 you don't know why I'm crying. I'm not scared of them dinosaurs. Like you know what I'm saying? Like the little kid in me is like, I gotta explain myself. The human could not. The human couldn't deal.
Mm.
mm, mm. What Sam just was describing about being embarrassed in public at the theme park as a black man. And I want you to be, you have no choice but to be honest. Have you been there before, and do you recognize that feeling?
To be honest, yes, I have been there before. Did I actually cry? No, I did not. And like you said, the feeling goes to a place that I cannot let this out. I cannot be embarrassed. I cannot show any weakness in public. And
Mm,
that's another part of something that we hold in so tight. We hold
Mhm.
in so tight that, like we talked about, I think we talked about this last week, Dr. Will, that it affects us in other ways. You know, that's why you got a lot of black men drinking and smoking and doing things they
All
probably,
externalizing.
yeah,
Mhm.
because you have to hold that in. I mean, I'm thinking about it now. It's like I couldn't dare let my family or people who don't know me see me in that vulnerable state, because to me, that would be worse than what actually happened.
Yep.
You know,
There it is.
that
mm.
feeling right is worse than whatever made you cry, whatever it is. Letting that feeling is worse than what actually happened.
You just
You
hit
know,
it on the head. That's it right there. It was none of these people were there. None of these people know what happened to me. But in this moment, it's embarrassing because of what I'm doing. And it's such a stupid place for your brain to go to in that moment. It really is.
yeah.
It really is.
Mm. Dr. Will, the
Mm.
psychology of the emotion of depression with the black man specifically, where does that shame around public vulnerability come from? And what is that long-term mental health will cause?
Yeah. We call that a lack well, it's a lack of congruence, right? So we end up realizing the man I am, the man I'm trying to become, and the man that I'm forced to be are in 3 different rooms in the same house.
Mm,
Right. And
Mm.
so it creates the separation of worth. My self-worth is now based upon how I perform, not my presence. And the top tier, the end goal of manhood is presence. And so I can always tell how a man is hurting by the way they provide, the way they perform, the way they produce, and the products that they use, right? To show ownership of self, and you can really break a man down simply by those four things. So when I really look at what black men are missing or what they need, the mental health is actually what Sam actually already said, is creating the container. And actually Sam is a master of that. You being a creator of comedy, you create a container of receiving. People walk into your room and understand there's a container, there's a language, there's a curation, there's an openness, there's a discomfort that comes. And a lot of men are never given that power to create a safe space to be heard. So the fact that you create that with your art is a testament to what manhood tries to become.
Wow. Thank you.
Mm.
Wow. I sound like I'm somebody.
One thing I want to ask you, Dr. Wood, that the first thing you said with that is about a man in the house and they are in three
Yep.
different rooms.
That's a
You
bar.
know, one of the biggest thing with that is sometimes, and men, and this is for women too, it just ain't for men, is sometimes they don't even have that many rooms to go to. They don't have that many rooms, that many spaces to go to
Yeah.
all their own, to
They
express
got a hut.
you know. So
hmm
once again, that's when
That
things
creates a complex, though. That creates the complex, right? That's the cognitive distortion, right? That's the all or nothing thinking. That's the if I don't do this, then nothing will happen. If I don't
right,
become that, then this won't happen. If I don't become the basketball player, the NBA star at the age of 8, if I don't become the product, the prodigy, right? Even when it comes to musicians, right?
yeah,
You see church musicians, they can't learn one instrument. They gotta learn all three: drums, bass, keys, right? They gotta learn everything, right? We're never given the chance to develop, right? You either are or you're not, right? Either you're gonna pay my bills or you're not. You're gonna pay the bag or you're not. You're
yeah.
you're gonna become a degree earner or not. You're gonna be an entrepreneur or not, right? The not part, there's no space for that to exist until you surrender to the fact that nothing actually matters. But that's
And,
a whole other conversation.
and even all those things or not, you fighting time.
Yeah,
You always fighting time.
yeah, you really are, right? We
Yeah.
fight time more than ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on to the the last clip if we can. So we're gonna go ahead and do this last clip, and then I want a reaction from you when we finish. Because all right, go ahead, Mike. Therapy, has that actually helped you in your marriage as well?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We done been through it. We done almost separated. We done tried the open thing because we different people. Like we done tried all sorts of things. But if we didn't go to my personal therapist, and then we had like a group one that we went to together, we'd have been done a long time ago. Whole long time ago.
Right. I love that. I love that for you. All right. So I told you that was my last, but this is my last question for you. Really. What does healing actually look like for you right now? Like not in theory, but what does it look like for you? Genuinely.
Everybody listening, man, healing is not going to present itself the way you think it is. It is not. I remember I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to therapy. I'm talking to this white woman once a week. Boom, boom. I'm back off to the races, you know? It don't start working until you start sitting with the things that you talk about and thinking about your behavior in situations, you know? I feel like humans, period, we never consider our actions in a given predicament. We consider everything that's happening on the outside of it and how we outwardly react to it, when we might be sitting in the middle creating a negative space, depending on how we present ourselves. So healing for me is the day that I could sit and I'm sitting with all these emotions and I'm in my head about everything and go, I don't have to be. I understand why I'm having this visceral reaction to whatever trigger I have. And I'll just say this before we leave on triggers. Nobody's responsible for your triggers. Yeah. And I say that with all care and sensitivity, because that doesn't mean they aren't valid. But going into a space, you have to be aware of the ones you already have and temper yourself, because you also don't want to impart negative space on anybody else when you're around people. So I feel like the learning happens when you look a little bit more intrinsic. You stop going, these people are doing this to me, and go, this is how I just naturally react to things, and I can fix that.
Right, right. You know what? Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Do we have any more questions, Dr. Mike? Do you have the last question for him or anything like that?
No, I don't.
No?
It's been a great show, great experience.
Right. Wait,
Yeah,
hold on.
I'm honored to be here.
No, it is. It's good that you is here. So let me say this, because we've been talking about you, right? And we ain't talking about the letter. It's the letter that we have. It's a letter that we have, and it's all about betrayal, right? So this month we've been talking about betrayal and healing and reclaiming yourself and all of that going through. So where does laughter live in this process for you? Not personally, but if somebody came to you and said, "Look, I'm trying to heal from being betrayed to, lied to, and all of this other stuff," how can you make that person heal through laughter with that? Am I trying to get a free joke out of this?
No. Oh man. I don't think there's a place in life you can go to somebody ain't gonna end up trying to stab you in the back some kind of way. People just weird, man. I left LA for a while because I got tired of the backstabby stuff, and I had to find the laughter in laughter again. Once you do comedy, you never look at comedy the same way.
Right.
I think that's any industry,
Yeah.
Once you're in it, you see behind the curtain. So it's real hard. It's real hard to get somebody to the point that I'm at. That's why I'm strong enough to pass this message on. The getting to the laughter that's my purpose. Y'all come to a show and you having a hard time getting to the laughter, being able to look at yourself. I promise you leaving with something. I promise you leaving with something.
I love that.
Wow.
That was good. Yeah, that was good. Sam, you had said in the interview, in our interview, and now sitting here live tonight, what does your healing look like right now? I know what you told me a few weeks ago, but right now, tonight, what does your healing looks like?
Oh man. Between when we recorded that and now, I wasn't supposed to be home right now, like Naomi told you at the beginning of the show. I went through some things that I don't even want to give energy to, and the reason I say that is because my first reaction was, I think anybody's natural reaction to anything bad going on in their life, like, I want to go ahead and tell people what happened, and again, good therapists stay off the internet for a little bit,
Yeah.
and the blessings that came out of when I went on the road far exceed the bad, especially when I know I did the right thing in the situation. Y'all follow me, you'll hear about it later, I promise. But for this, I was like, no, I don't, this doesn't deserve that. This deserves to be spoken to in the most positive fashion.
Yeah.
I got out there and I rekindled relationships with cousins that I didn't have. Me and my mother's relationship got fixed. I got to see my goddaughter, and in any situation, like my car accident, like the things that happened, it's very easy for us to focus on that thin line of negative that happened inside of something, even if it seems big, because it's just easier for our brain to think about the bad. I'm choosing not to do that on this one. I'm blessed that I got taught the lessons that I needed to learn, and that I got back home because I know my name's solid.
Nice. I love that. So I have another question for you. What do you want to leave with the audience tonight?
I hope y'all enjoyed yourselves for one. When I say, like, me and Miss Banxxx relationship has gone from, oh wow, I know you do comedy, I know you did adult film, to that's my friend. That I mean that with all sincerity. And if we ever get a chance, we will. We're gonna talk again. I would love to explain to y'all the mental thing that happens from 19, 18 years old, watching somebody be an adult film star as a man throughout their life, to be able to have conversations with them now that you never thought you'd be able to have. It's fascinating.
Mm.
Don't be aging me like that, Dr. Will. So Sam has said,
Hey, I ain't
Oh
had no
god.
business downloading them things, but hey.
you know what? That Sam has said, he has said nobody is responsible for your triggers, but you still have to know them to know them. Unpack that for the audience real fast because I think that this is
Oh
one of the
yeah.
most important things that he said throughout the entire series. So if you can unpack that for me really fast.
Yeah. Principle one of my healing modality. The action is never the reason. We have to understand that the way that we live our life, the way that we take things in, the way that we understand how we're treated is it can be either a loss or a lesson. And when we have not trained our minds and our hearts, we see everything as a reaction or a place to prove ourselves. But when you heal yourself, you realize you can respond and you can sit, SIT, slow down, interview, then talk it out, and realize that there's a lesson in every experience. Every person you meet is actually a lesson. And when you learn that, you actually slow down with them. And you also take things less personal because they're meant to move on. Because you're not supposed to remember your lesson, you're supposed to live through your lesson.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you. Dog
Yeah.
Pound Mike, do you have any last words from you? And what has this month for you meant? You've been here with me through the whole month. What has it been for you? And what are you taking home from this conversation tonight? Because you dropped a lot of gems tonight.
Well, that's what I do. Uh, now, from the whole month and from tonight, it's just about opening up. It's about opening up, self love, being out and realizing what you're going through in life. And sometimes, even if feel you in a better place, even opening up to someone else may open them up. I
Mm,
think one of the biggest things that's going to help, especially black men in this world on a mental health stage, is being able to talk to someone and they may open up more than you open it up. So that will make you feel like, well, okay, maybe it ain't that bad. But let me
mm-hmm.
listen to this brother. And actually, I was at work today, and I had a younger brother who talked to me about some things, and just our little conversation. We both all right. We both doing okay. We both, but you still need that conversation. Just someone to tell you, you know, this is going on. This is going on. What, Mike? What you think I should do about this? And it was simple conversations, but those little things opening up that communication helps greatly. Helps greatly. You know, everybody don't need to see a therapist. Some people just need to see some good friends.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people just need to see some trusting people.
Yeah.
Some people just need to, like me, take my old ass to a pickup game. I got to do 55 and older leagues now, and we only playing half court. But you got to get out there and meet some people and have that conversation. And it helps a
Mhm.
lot. But for the people who need more help, more therapists, more Dr. Wheels, they got to realize that and welcome that too.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. I'm gonna
Mm.
give you one last Sam, tell everybody where they can find you at. Where you going? Where you going on? Are you going back out on the road? All of your website, give it to them.
Yeah, Sam Ridley, RIDLEY, comedy on everything, and the Legal Opinions podcast, like we mentioned before. Like it's the same on absolutely everything. Sam Ridley Comedy, TikTok, YouTube, all that good stuff. I'll be back in the East Coast in September. I got into the North Carolina Comedy Festival, so I'll be back out there in Goldsboro in September. But I'm gonna be all over the place. I'm about to put a whole nother tour together and start building this brand. Y'all gonna see me out there. Just follow the page. Trust me on that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Dr. Will, thank you as always. Come on with it. Come on
Yeah.
with it, still friend. What you got to say?
Be kind to yourself and heal always.
Never fails. Never fails. All right, y'all. We are at the end of May, and we are at the end of our Love, Lost, and Reclaimed series. And I want to just close this month out and just say that the way that we opened up with the letter, with the woman that I've never met, sat down on a Sunday morning again, and she just trusted me with that honest piece of writing. I've and, it was good because we were able to break it down in so many different ways. and we just showed up. We had on the third last week we had Miss Krista come in, and she fit right in with the topic that we were talking about. You know, we had spent 4 Thursdays this month talking about betrayal, accountability, desire, healing, and then tonight, laughter. And with thousands of people that have been watching and listening, every single one of those conversations has been amazing. One thing I do love is I love that BTG crew. Y'all been in the comments, and I see y'all. We see the comments, we see it all, and I think it's probably about time that we start to lengthen out the show more so we can really go to the comments and talk a lot more with the comments and kind of slow the show down. But again, this has been one of the most amazing series that I've had. And it's so funny because I wasn't going to do it. I was going to hold off on it until next. Yeah, I was going to hold off on it until next year. And I said, let me get it together. Okay, me, Dr. Willer, Dog Pound Mike back, and then you came in, and yeah, and it just came back together. But it's one thing that I want to say that the young lady has said in the letter before, and I want to read it. I want to say it to everybody. She said, "Even with stones that are put in your way, you can still build something beautiful. Even though stones are put in your way, you can still build something beautiful." And then she signed the letter, "Keep growing, pretty flower." So Sam, really, again, you built something beautiful with your stones, your car accident, your years of suffering and silence, your breakdown at the water provider, university, your marriage almost falling apart, and you turned it and you put it on a stage and you turned it into something just so amazing with your microphone and a message and a mission. And that is what this month has been about. Not pretending that the stones are not there, not waiting for someone to move them for you, but building something beautiful with them anyway. And here's what I want you to leave with tonight, y'all. Your pain is purpose. Your pain has purpose. Even when you cannot see it, trust me. You are looking at somebody right now who has transformed their life. And man, when I tell you, healing is not linear and it does not look the way that you think it will. All right, my beautiful people. Again, laughter is not denial. Laughter is what it sounds like when you have survived something and decided to have joy. So, again, my man just walked off and left. Again, Sam, really, thank you. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you. This was
and showing
awesome.
so much love.
This was awesome. I really appreciate the two of you. Thank you, Dr. Will, for your time as well. I've been watching you from here on the page. I was like, oh yeah, we gonna wrap. This gonna be great.
Yeah, I love that we can do so much in such a short little time. That's
Yeah,
how you know it's real. When you don't gotta be here long, you just gotta make the impact.
yeah, yeah. And Dr. Will, thank you. Always.
Hey, I got your back.
Thank
You already
you.
know.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Before I leave, I want to remind you that I need to tell y'all about the young man Maverick. We still raising money for Maverick, right? We still
Yes.
oh,
Yes, we
no.
are.
We still gonna do that for Maverick, right?
Respectfully.
We're gonna put some Mike is putting it in the chat right now. Hit the link, send over some money, whatever you have. And if you don't, please share the link. And if you're new here, Maverick has a childhood cancer. It's called neuroblastoma. And Sam brought him to our attention when we had the interview there. And that's actually what they were going on the road raising money for at that time. You'll hear the whole spiel for actually the interview is going on right now. I scheduled it to go on right now. I didn't know we were going to be going this long. And then also our love and mental health campaign. There's also a link is going to be in there with both causes, both links. And this is how we show up. We don't just talk about it. We do about it, and everything goes to there. All right. So let me announce this. Next week we would not be here, but we are coming back the following week. We're coming back the following week because guess what, y'all? I got a new app. I got an app that is finally coming out on June 23rd. And so I'm taking a week off just to dedicate to that, to my to getting that all together and ready to go. But that is about it. That is it. That is it. Thank you, guys. We have done it. 2 years, 3 years gonna be great, ain't it? Next year gonna be a good one.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, next year is gonna be a good one. Again, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Dr. Will. Dog Pound Mike. Thank you. All of the BTG crew. I see y'all out there. Thank you so much for just being here, just being active, showing up and showing out and doing your thing. And as I always say, be good to one another in yourselves and always keep it sexy. See you in a few weeks.
Hey, it's the goddess Nyomi Banxxx, and I hope you enjoyed that last episode of Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap. And if you did, please like, subscribe, press that notification button, as well as comment. I'll see you next week. Keep it sexy.
Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap. This is where we talk about love, sex, relationships, cultural differences, and so much more.